Dragon's Rising has by far seen the biggest rise in Ninjago characters, and with so many new ninjas, it was bound that some would have been left out. And this position was unfortunately given to two ninjas in particular, those being Zane and Cole, and here's how Season 4 saved them. Well, first things first, let us take into account that the concept of the focus ninjas exists in Ninjago. Up until Dragon's Rising, each season has had one or at most two focused ninjas at a time, with others sharing arcs but not the spotlight. Dragon's Rising switched this up by working with 4 or at most 5 focused ninjas per season. 3 of these slots would always be taken by Lloyd, Sora, and Aaron, leaving only 2 to be taken up by another ninja. Season 1 saw these positions being taken up by Kai, mainly Nia as well, but mainly Kai, with Zane being a part of the story but left out of many episodes, and Cole being in only 1 or I guess 1.5 episodes. Season 2 saw Kai and, in my opinion, Cole take the spotlight, while Season 2 Part 2 saw Nia and Wildfire take these spots. Season 3 Part 1 tried to have Zane take one of these spots with Pixel's return, though that backfired in my opinion. I'll talk about that later. And Season 3 Part 2 focused more on Jay, who had been left out majorly from the overall story. Season 4 switched this up though, not by providing more focus to characters like Zane or Cole, more specifically Zane, but by making better use of the few screen time these characters truly had. Cole's case is a little more specific, so let's start off with Zane. Zane has always been an interesting case, since he had been facing a severe lack of depth since the 11-minute era had started, more specifically since the Season 3 rebooted season or the Season 4 Tournament of Element seasons had ended. Sure, he had the Ice Emperor arc and a few emotional moments here and there, but the Zane we had learned to care about was missing. He had instead been replaced by what could only be seen as a gimmick character, the robot or the quirky one of the team, something that was in trend with other ninjas from this era too, like Jay. The trend continued in Dragon's Rising, as Zane was seen as a throwaway for the first 2 seasons. He had a few moments trying to give him actual depth, and his robot side was still given more importance than the real character behind it, though Season 3 did try to give him some focus by introducing Pixel back in the story. This though only backfired, as Zane once again just broke down after episode 4. He got upgraded to a giant robot. After this, he got only a few lines of dialogue related to Pixel, and he was just reduced back to being a robot character once again. Part 2 wrote him out of the story entirely, and Season 4 is where this changed. Season 4 did something which changed Zane. Firstly, he's cool again. There was an entire fight scene in an episode dedicated to the return of Zane. His return was genuinely one of the coolest scenes in the entirety of Dragon's Rising. Like, come on, just look at this. That's so cool. It wasn't just a throwaway. That's the first major thing. Secondly, moreover, what he does do with his limited screen time is show more of his human personality again, as even the ninjas comment on how he uses words like janky now. He teaches Lloyd how to focus through the medium of art, which is not something you'd ever expect Zane to do, and his arc of being a ninjroid, a lifeless robot, yet being the one to give solace and support to the dragon of life itself in her final moments, never losing hope and fighting till his last breath. These are the things which old Zane used to do. These are the things which have always made Zane Zane and made him likable. His connection to Pixel has grown stronger, which is something Season 3 attempted to do, but it's clear now that he's finally come to grow as a character, and that is how Season 4 saved Zane. Now though, let's move on to the second part of the video, Cole. Cole is an interesting case. He has had focus throughout the entirety of Dragon's Rising, even being a minor part of Season 3 Part 2. Though what Season 4 changes is, firstly, it gives Cole aura. Yeah, you heard that right. Cole has always been one of the coolest ninjas and one of the most likable too, thanks to his down to earth personality and the foundation he gives for the other characters, not to mention his humor. He is seen as a highlight of Season 1 of Dragon's Rising, despite him only really appearing for 15 minutes exactly because of this. He is just that charming and likable. Season 2 waters him down a little, though his connection to the Finders to Bonzil still manages to shine through, if anything. I think his so to speak downfall started though in Season 2 Part 2. That season is where I'd point to show Cole's downfall in Dragon's Rising, as he was slowly reduced from then on. Though he did share some connection with Frack, once again showing his down to earth nature, literally helping the opponent, he was still one dimensional for the rest of Part 2 in my opinion. And Season 3 literally left him out during Part 1, and Part 2 gave him some focus, but in the grand scheme of things, he was still left out from quite a bit of the story, literally being hollowed out and written out of the back half of Part 2. Season 4, though, does not treat Cole as a focused ninja, and Cole's role in the season is restricted to much of the back half, particularly after episode 17, yet what they do with this time is ingenious. Firstly, Cole is on his own till the final battle, and he actually kickstarts that battle too. He is the one who's with Beatrix, and he is the one who basically foils her plan and stops her for the time being. Though the comparison is weird, Cole being on his own for much of the season, running this investigation about the Loyalists as well, gives me Season 13 vibes, as many of his mannerisms from that season seem to have returned. Cole speaks to himself a lot, honestly making for some really funny moments, and despite initially being captured, he's our first look into the real villain of the season and Beatrix's plan, both being sarcastic while he finds out about all this, and optimistic as well as attentive about the situation. He even remembers the exact spell used to turn on the weapon of desolation. He jokes to himself a lot, and he literally makes good use of his powers too. I mean, this fight scene with Cole was genuinely one of the highlights of Season 4 for me personally, and he's even shown to have better control over his elemental power as compared to the other elemental masters, as he literally turns into an upgraded golem form just by touching the weapon of desolation, which once again is just so cool. He just seems like a main character when he shouldn't be, and that just gives off Prime Cole vibes to me, which is amazing. And that is why, in my opinion, Dragon's Rising Season 4 saved both Zane and Cole. But what are your thoughts about this? Maybe you have some different opinions, so comment them down below and subscribe for more. See ya. Appreciate y'all being here. Like and subscribe to all that fun stuff. I'll see y'all soon. Bye.